Hi, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is with you. What we're going to be doing today is I'm going to very quickly talk you through writing up the brief. Again, this is going to be a quick run through. It's the kind of thing that once you look at the notes, once you've got your ideas going, it's hopefully fairly self-explanatory, but it's just to make sure that you understand the resources that I've put out there and how to utilise them. I'm going to show you, point you in the direction of a couple of very worthwhile resources as well. Realistically, what you'll need for this one is number 4 and number 5, NB Media Assignment, and number 5, BA Media Planning Guidance. That is going to be what I'll talk you through today. I will also take you to the Media Hire Understanding Standards page, and I'll show you kind of a few resources there that are very worthwhile as well. But just now, I'm just going to explain to you what you actually need to do for this piece of work. So let's get rid of me. There we go. So, this is the first section of your assignment. It is an actual accessible piece of work. That means it's a big deal. It should fall between 750 words at the bare minimum. I would be aiming around the 1,000 word mark, and an absolute maximum of 1,250 words. Alright? I will be asking you to submit these digitally, i.e. by email, in a typed document. Firstly, so that the changes are easier to make, and secondly, so that I can keep on top of how much you have actually written. As I said, this will be worth 5 marks, and so it should be split into 5 different paragraphs of more or less equal length. They don't always have to be, but they should be roughly the same length. Sorry. This is the start of your assessed work. This is important, and take your time over it to get it right. It's why I'm only releasing 3 looms today, and I'm going to do the next 3 next Friday, because I want you to spend at least a week on this. Alright? We won't always get a week to spend on everything. Sometimes we'll need to do a couple of things, but just now I want you to spend a week on prepping this. On the team, there is a document called NB Media Assignment Guide from New Battle High School. And there's also BA Media Planning Guidance. It says Beclair Academy Media Planning Guidance. I actually stole that too and just adapted it ever so slightly. But there you go. I am going to run through each of them. It will be a very quick run through. They're fairly self-explanatory. They are just good examples for what to do, different ways that you can approach this. Now, although there's no set way to approach this, there's a lot of wrong ways to approach it. So I'm going to give you quite a number of pointers, ideas, and advice just to make sure that you know what you're doing. Sorry. Like I said, these are resources from other schools. They're tried and tested, and they have been useful. They are to guide you. Remember, though, the people we are about to look at, the guides for New Battle and the other one that I've made up, well, no, I haven't made up, I need to stop saying that. The other one that I've adapted, are for other people doing different assignments. This is a guidance, right? It's a guideline. It is not something I need you to replicate. It's not something I want you to replicate. If you replicate it, you will find it does not apply to what you are doing and what you have been asked. So I will know if you replicate it. This is a guide. So, New Battle is this one. So, fairly chunky little document here. Got kind of quote from Stanley Kubrick. You've got your introduction and your context page, and then you've got this. This is a very quick breakdown of what your planning section of your assignment, which is what we're working on at the moment, is going to look like. Creative intentions is what we're working on right now, 5 marks. Content research is what we will work at next, and that's 5 marks. Another area of content research, area of production roles, audience, and institutional contexts. Okay. 1 mark will be awarded for each relevant and developed point that you make. So you should try and make 5 separate points for each of these areas listed above, and use the headings to structure your work. I'm going to skip that. You can kind of read through that yourself. Just now we're doing it in such a set way that you can't not do it that way. This is the creative intentions for the response to the brief. This person's actually, as it transpires, done something very similar to us. they have chosen category. Oh no, they've not. They've chosen categories, narrative, language, representation, and technology. So what they're doing is they're just doing an idea for the four of the easiest key aspects and technology. So the 4 content-based key aspects and technology. You've got an example here, and they say explain your idea in detail and explain why you decided this idea based on the information from the brief. If you have a read through this, in the first chunk they explain their idea in detail, and then the second chunk they start explaining why. Why are they doing that? Who is it going to appeal to? What's the basis for this decision? All right. You have to do it 5 times. For us, we will be doing it 5 times in response to, I have closed it, in response to the 5 areas I've given you. But this is worth 1 mark, this response here. All right. Quite a hefty bit of writing for only 1 mark, but that's what you need to do at higher in media. That's as far as you need to go with this one, because when we move on, it goes to content-based research, and that's a little bit different. All right. But it is worth having a wee look at what someone would, what someone created as a model answer. Okay. The other area that I want you to look at is the 8 response to the brief. Again, this gives you different areas that you can look at: stimulus, genre, style, tone, form, audience, and purpose. This is much more like ours. All right, this is much more like ours. It gives you a quick breakdown of what it's looking at. Each paragraph must explain at least one clear and specific creative intention based on a response to a specific part of the brief. Okay, so you have to say, I am going to do this because of this thing that was mentioned in the brief. You have to do that in every paragraph. You have to explain clearly how you intend to carry out that intention. I'm going to do this based on that, and I'm going to do it by doing this. And you have to explain why you believe that your actions will be effective in creating a successful product. So here you have, I'm going to make a teaser trailer for my film that is a hybrid of horror and fantasy. And so one purpose of my trailer is to attract my audience to my film so that they would go and see the feature length when it comes to the cinemas. That's the creative intention. We have to assume part of that links back to the brief. I would actually mention the brief in your creative intention. The intent explained. One way in which I think I could effectively do this is is at the end of my trailer by running a very quick succession of short shots that show dramatic scenes, such as the girl going down to her kitchen to discover Goldilocks in there. She's going through what she's going to do, and then the effectiveness down here. Fast editing gives a sense of incompletion as it changes so quickly that the audience feel they've not seen enough and so will want to go and see more. I would argue they've kind of covered a few different areas here, but you have the create, what are they going to do, how are they going to do it, why is it a good idea? Okay, and again, you don't really need to go further down because that's again getting further into it. But what I do want to draw your attention to, actually we'll go back to the PowerPoint first. What I do want to draw your attention to is a resource that will be particularly useful. Media Higher Understanding Standards page. It has a huge number of resources, really good, really useful, really worthwhile resources. And I particularly recommend looking at candidate number 2 on it. Candidate number 2 is doing almost identical things to us. They got 4 out of 5 marks. And you can look at both what they did and the feedback on what they did. So if we go over here, let me bring up this. If you Google, all right, Higher Media Understanding Standards, you search that. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. You click that first option, you accept whatever that is, and you go to Assignment. You click on Assignment. I sneezed again. Here you have 7 different assignments. It tells you what each one is. There's not much point looking at posters. There's not much point looking at a self-evaluation of 2 scenes. I think that's going to be too difficult as well. I would look at candidate number 2 specifically just now. Alright. If you click candidate number 2, it will bring up candidate number 2. There you have their brief. There you have their kind of stimulus as well. Right, their stimulus and their brief are kind of intertwined. So stimulus first, then their brief. And here you have their response to the brief. Now they got 4 out of 5 marks because there's where they talk about the stimulus is almost identical to where they talk about the genre and purpose are basically tied up in there. So they got the mark for stimulus, they got a mark for form, a mark for purpose. Where did they lose their marks? That's target audience. No, they got a mark for, or was it basically, well, actually tell you what, why am I hypothesizing? This is the commentary. So if you go down to candidate number 2, the paragraph on purpose is not credited as the plan to address issues of mental health has already been stated in the paragraphs on stimulus. Right? So this one was deemed too similar to that one, stimulus. Luckily, we're not doing a stimulus paragraph. You are doing form, purpose, target audience, and genre along with editing. So there shouldn't be any overlap. But what that means is if you have a read of this, this is someone who's looking at the same areas as you are. This is someone who's got 4 out of 5 marks. Even remind yourself where they didn't get their 5th mark. It tells you exactly where they are being awarded their marks, what they have done that gets them a mark. It is a really handy resource. You can look over a lot of different assignments that have done well, assignments that have done poorly. Okay, I can't emphasize enough how useful a resource this is. The only issue with it is you cannot see the video clips. I need to get them. I am trying to get them, but actually I'm not allowed to see them anyway. Miss McGuire will need to give me access to them. But we will get to watch them at some point. But that was just from Googling SQA Understanding Standards Higher Media, clicking on assignment, and going to candidate number 2. And that will get you a solid chunk of the way through. So, that's just the same. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. That's what I want. Sorry. So, ultimately, I'm looking for you to each have a responding to the brief section of your assignment, written, typed, and emailed to me by the 23rd of October 2020. That is 2 weeks today. All right. This might cover 5 separate areas. This must cover 5 separate areas, as we have already outlined, and must come up within the agreed word count, 750 to 1,250. If you're having any issues, please let me know. Like I said, I will definitely be checking my emails next Friday. I will potentially check them before then, but it's not likely. This shouldn't be too tough. Getting a first draft. Because remember, this is your first draft. I will mark this, I'll get it back to you. And realistically, there's no good reason why we shouldn't be getting 4 or 5 marks out of each of these areas, because we can do them kind of a few times and get them right. The last thing I want you to be aware of is steps 4, 5, and 6 are looking at storyboarding. Then they're looking at planning for language, and then they're looking at writing up again. The reason I'm telling you that is because ultimately, when you write up your assignment, I'm going to expect that one on language as well on the 23rd. Although I'm setting it on Friday, that means for that one you will only have a week. I want you to be aware of that because it's well worth your while getting this one done now, or as soon as possible. And if you're watching both of these back to back a day before, on Thursday before they're due, you have given yourself a bit of a task, haven't you? But there you go. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can email me at ed025jcorbett@co.sch.uk. But like I said, it's a first draft. Don't get too hung up on it. Hopefully you're having a lovely day, and I will chat to you soon. Enjoy your holiday, because the next one's going to come out on Friday as well. Sorry. Enjoy your holiday. Have a lovely time. Hopefully it's sunny. It's raining right now, but hopefully it's sunny. All right. Bye, guys.